Why do so many immigrants move to high cost of living places? Immigrants are a lot more willing and able to do more with a lot less. Someone earning 100K is not going to be as willing to compromise on lifestyle. They are willing and able to live at a much lower standard of living, sharing living space with many more people, buying and cooking cheaper food, not needing a lot of luxuries like 10 streaming services, etc. Bigger cities have better public transportation and social resources, even if it costs more to live there. Big cities are big because people want to live there. You have more opportunities, higher standard of living, and can make more money. High cost of living is always offset by higher salaries. Also, in one of the highest cost of living city of US, we get a large influx of immigrants and refugees. They come here due to us having large populations of people from their countries. They have a sense of community here, and it's not uncommon for their communities to provide. That's where the best jobs are. These places are cities. Cities have public transportation and apartments, and towns. As in, if you were Chinese, there is a Chinatown, etc. for you to hang out with others like you. Rural places are much cheaper, but also usually more anti-immigrant and racist than cities. And you pretty much always need a car to get around. Because of the opportunities they offer, like better jobs, educational institutions, and established communities, they often believe the benefits outweigh the high living expenses. If your salary is 25K and your expenses are 80, that leaves you 5K. If your salary is 100K and your expenses are 80, that leaves you 20K. It's always better to be somewhere high cost if it's also high salary when keeping global financial health in mind. That's where the higher paying jobs are. In college, there were 13 Indian guys sharing a one-bedroom apartment on campus. I was friends with one of them, and he told me they all just use sleeping bags and pay $50 each. Last I heard, he was in a share house in San Francisco. Those places generally have the most opportunity. I know people with high school diplomas making six figures working for tech companies because they were in the right place at the right time. That doesn't happen in the suburbs. Essentially, that's where the jobs are, mostly, along with more social services. However, there are plenty of immigrants in rural areas too. International airports are in large cities. International ports are in large cities. Primary interstates lead to large cities. Pockets of foreign-based communities, Little Italy, Chinatown, etc. originated with the original immigrants when the only access to the country was through settlements and towns that turned into large cities. Immigration offices that handle all the paperwork are in large cities. My aunt and uncle were the most recent to immigrate to America. I was born right when my family came over. They moved to where we're from because we're from there. My family knows either Greek or Albanian tradesmen, body shop mechanics, restaurants, real estate agents, doctors, dentists, etc. All of these people are either distant family or friends of distant family. All are based in Philly, and thus it only made sense for my family to move to Philly. Likewise, it only makes sense for my aunt and uncle to move there. They found their jobs in skilled labor stuff. Naturally, they got used to living here. They speak English, connected to the community of Greeks, learned a skill or two, and now all the community knows them as capable of doing this. Now some other guy comes to Philly because of his third cousin and needs that particular skill. Well, through word of mouth, there's a Philly tradesperson who is a friend of a friend and can do it for you. This is the power of community, and it's why I can never ever leave Philly if I stay in the US, because America's wealthiest citizens depend on cheap, unprotected labor. Without what's going on in own country, a lot of legal immigrants come into our country with big. I've known people who immigrated here from the Mideast, India, Asia, just to name a few. I think it's about culture. They could have been self-employed, saved a lot of, or in some countries it's mandatory for children, especially sons, to be in the family business. The few I know family business was oil. There was one person that moved oil tankers around the world. Young guy was a broker. What I mean about culture, many immigrants are very frugal. They watch there and don't spend it foolishly. Many I have known are very educated and in a professional occupation. Why do they live in upscale areas? They do their research and have because the standard of living is still higher at the poorest levels in westernized countries than from a country that faces extreme poverty. They can still get health care, they can visit a food bank if they are hungry, or soup kitchens. They can get work every day from labor ready if they are unable to get a job anywhere else. They can apply for low-income housing, or go to a shelter if they are homeless. Their children still receive free education and in some circumstances will receive a free lunch at school. It's not that bad here in comparison to where a lot of people come from. We tend to take it for granted when we're born here. Because nobody mending Padangkohio as a cool place to live,